The soft hum of the cargo ship's engines filled the small cockpit as Tom Anderson stretched in his pilot's chair. His eyes were tired from staring at the endless field of asteroids ahead. The ship's AI had been warning him for the past hour about taking the shortcut, but Tom knew better. 10 years of flying cargo through space had taught him that sometimes the risky path was the fastest one. Warning: entering unmapped asteroid field. Recommended course correction: 180 degrees, the ship's AI announced for the 100th time. Tom rubbed his temples and smiled. No thanks, Lucy. We're already halfway through. Going back would waste more fuel than it's worth. He named the ship's AI Lucy after his childhood cat, equally stubborn and overprotective. That's when he heard it. At first he thought it was just space static, the usual background noise that filled every ship's communication systems. But there was something different about this signal, something that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Lucy, can you analyze that transmission? Tom leaned forward, adjusting the communication controls. No transmissions detected on any known frequencies, Captain, Lucy replied. But Tom knew he heard something. It was like a song at the edge of hearing. Too quiet to make out the words, but definitely there. He closed his eyes, trying to focus on the strange pattern hidden in the static. Lucy, switch to manual control and hold position. Tom's fingers flew across the control panel, adjusting sensors and communication arrays. The pattern grew stronger, not in his ears, but somehow in his mind. It was as if someone was tapping out a message directly into his thoughts. Captain, this course of action is inadvisable. We are behind schedule for delivery to Station 47. Lucy protested. Tom ignored the AI's warnings. Something was calling out there, and every human instinct he had was screaming that it was important. He turned the ship slowly, following the strange signal like a bloodhound on a scent. The pattern led him deeper into the asteroid field, where the massive rocks floated closer together. Tom's hands moved almost on their own, guiding the ship through gaps that seemed impossibly small. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he focused on both flying and following that mysterious signal. Multiple collision risks detected. Autopilot strongly recommended, Lucy announced. Not now, Lucy, Tom muttered. The signal was getting stronger. He could almost understand it now. Not words exactly, but feelings. Fear, pain, desperation. Then he saw it. Wedged between two slowly spinning asteroids was something that definitely didn't belong there. It was small, maybe a quarter the size of his cargo ship, with a sleek design that didn't match any human spacecraft he had ever seen. Lucy, scan that object. Unknown vessel detected. Design does not match any known human or allied species specifications. Caution is advised. Tom's heart raced as he maneuvered closer. The strange object was clearly damaged, with dark scorch marks along one side and a cracked viewport. But what really caught his attention was the faint glow coming from inside. A soft, pulsing light that matched the rhythm of the signal in his head perfectly. It's an escape pod, he whispered to himself. Lucy, prepare for emergency rescue operations. Captain, this is outside standard operating procedures. Company policy strictly prohibits. Lucy, there's someone alive in there. I can feel it. Tom was already putting on his spacesuit, checking the seals with practice motions. And they don't have much time left. As he prepared for the rescue, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that he was about to step into something much bigger than a simple emergency rescue. The signal in his mind had changed. It was weaker now, but filled with something new. Hope. Hold on, he said to whoever was out there. Help is coming. Little did Tom know that this moment of human compassion, this decision to help a stranger against all logical advice, would change not just his life, but humanity's place in the universe forever. The magnetic seal of Tom's helmet clicked into place as he double-checked his spacesuit's oxygen levels. His heart was pounding, but his hands remained steady, a trait that had served him well during his years in deep space. Lucy, keep the ship steady and maintain connection with my suit communications, he ordered, moving toward the airlock. Acknowledged, Captain. But I must remind you that approaching unknown vessels violates safety protocols, I know. Tom smiled despite his nervousness. Sometimes being human means knowing when to break the rules. The airlock cycled, and Tom found himself floating in open space. The damaged escape pod was only 30 meters away, but in the darkness of space, it felt like kilometers. He activated his suit's thrusters, moving carefully between the two asteroids that held the pod in their rocky embrace. As he got closer, the signal in his mind grew stronger. It wasn't just a pattern anymore. It felt like emotions washing over him. Fear, pain, and something else, a feeling of running away from something terrible. The pod's design was like nothing he'd ever seen. Its surface seemed to shift colors slightly, even in the dim light, like oil on water. There was writing near what appeared to be the entry hatch, but the symbols looked more like flowing water than letters. "Lucy, are you recording this?" Tom asked, reaching for the strange hatch. Affirmative. Though I detect no method of opening the unknown vessel's entry point. Tom ran his gloved hand along the smooth surface. The moment his fingers touched it, the metal seemed to respond. Ripples spread from his touch, and a seam appeared, spiraling open like a blooming flower. "Well, that's different," he muttered, peering inside. The interior was bathed in a soft, pulsing light that matched the rhythm he'd been sensing. But what made Tom's breath catch in his throat was the pod's occupant. Floating in what looked like a suspension field was a humanoid figure that both resembled and differed from any human he ever seen. She, and somehow Tom knew it was a she, had a slender form similar to a human's, but her skin seemed to glow from within, shifting between pale blue and silver. Her face was elegant, with features that seemed almost too perfect to be real. But what struck Tom most was how young she looked, barely more than a teenager by human standards. Her eyes were closed, and some kind of crystalline frost was forming on her skin. The suspension field flickered weakly, failing. "Lucy, what are the readings on the pod's life support?" "Unknown technology. Cannot analyze. However, internal temperature is dropping rapidly." Tom didn't hesitate. He reached into the suspension field. It felt like pushing his hand through thick syrup, and carefully pulled the alien girl free. Her body was ice cold to the touch, even through his suit. "Hang on," he whispered, though he knew she couldn't hear him. "I've got you." The journey back to his ship seemed to take forever. The alien girl was lightweight, but maneuvering with an unconscious body in space was never easy. By the time they reached the airlock, the glow of her skin had dimmed considerably. Inside the ship's medical bay, Tom laid her on the examination table. His emergency medical training had never covered anything like this, but he knew hypothermia when he saw it, even in an alien. "Lucy, raise the room temperature to maximum comfortable levels, and scan her vital signs. Anything you can pick up." Scanning. Detecting unusual energy patterns. Biology appears to share some basic similarities with human life forms, but suddenly, the alien girl's eyes snapped open. Tom found himself staring into eyes that looked like swirling galaxies, deep purple with spots of light that moved like stars. She reached out and grabbed his arm with surprising strength. "They're coming," she whispered in perfect English, her voice sounding like chimes in the wind. Then her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed again, leaving Tom with more questions than answers. Tom's hands moved quickly across the medical bay's control panel as he watched the alien girl's life signs growing weaker. The glow of her skin, which had been like moonlight on water, was now barely visible. Even worse, her body temperature kept dropping despite the room being hot enough to make Tom sweat through his shirt. "Lucy, give me an update on her condition," Tom said, digging through the medical supplies. "Patient's core temperature continues to decrease. Current reading is equivalent to 28 degrees Celsius and falling. Detecting unusual energy fluctuations throughout her body." Tom ran his fingers through his hair in frustration. Nothing in his basic medical training had prepared him for this, but as he watched the girl shiver on the examination table, He realized something important. While her biology might be alien, her body was still fighting to stay alive, just like a human's would. If she's producing some kind of energy naturally, he muttered to himself, then maybe that's what she needs to survive. He looked around the cargo hold, thinking fast. His ship was carrying electronic parts to Station 47, including some experimental power cells. It wasn't exactly medical equipment, but right now, it was all he had. Lucy, I need you to reroute power from our backup systems and get me those new X-47 power cells from Cargo Bay 3. Captain, using non-medical equipment on an unknown life form is extremely dangerous. Additionally, reducing backup power in unmapped space. Lucy, Tom interrupted, she's dying. Sometimes you have to try the impossible. Working quickly, Tom rigged together a makeshift energy transfer system using the power cells and some medical monitoring equipment. He had no idea if it would work, but his gut told him he was on the right track. The alien girl's eyes fluttered open as he was connecting the last wire. Those galaxy-like eyes focused on him, and she spoke again, her voice weak but musical. I am Lyra, she whispered. You can sense the energy flows. I'm Tom, he replied, adjusting the power settings. And I don't know about energy flows, but I can tell you need help. Just hold on. Lyra's hand reached out and touched the improvised device Tom had built. To his amazement, the power cells began to glow with the same shifting colors as her skin. The energy readings on Lucy's monitors jumped off the charts. Warning, Lucy announced. Detecting massive power fluctuations, unknown energy patterns increasing exponentially. The medical bay lights flickered as energy flowed from Tom's jury-rigged system into Lyra's body. The glow of her skin brightened, and her shivering began to stop. Tom watched in fascination as patterns of light seemed to dance under her skin. The resonance, Lyra said, her voice stronger now. Your mind, your technology, they're compatible. How is this possible? Before Tom could answer, Lucy's alert system blared to life. Multiple vessels detected entering sensor range, energy signatures unknown, not matching any human or allied ship designs. Lyra's eyes widened in fear. The Dominion. They found me. She tried to sit up but almost fell, still weak from her ordeal. Hey, take it easy, Tom said, helping her stay steady. Who's the Dominion? What do they want? They want me, my abilities. Lyra's galaxy eyes fixed on Tom with desperate intensity. They can't be allowed to find me. The fate of many worlds depends on it. Lucy's voice cut through the tension. Unknown vessels are hailing us. They are demanding immediate surrender and transfer of cargo. Tom looked at the medical readings. Lyra was stable but far from fully recovered. Then he checked their position in the asteroid field. They were trapped between the approaching ships and a dense cluster of spinning rocks. Lucy, he said, a plan forming in his mind. Calculate the minimum safe distance for a full power cell overload. Captain, Lucy replied. Are you suggesting we? Sometimes, Tom grinned, helping Lyra into a secure position. The best way out is to do something completely crazy. Attention human vessel. A cold, metallic voice filled the ship's communication system. This is Commander Vex of the Dominion Fleet. You are harboring a fugitive of the highest order. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Tom looked at the sensor display showing 3 sleek, predatory-looking ships approaching his position. Each one was at least 5 times the size of his cargo vessel. Lucy, what are we up against? Tom asked, his hands dancing across the control panel. Enemy vessels show energy readings far beyond our capabilities. Their technology appears to be at least 3 generations ahead of current human standards. Lyra grabbed Tom's arm, her galaxy eyes wide with fear. The Dominion ships are designed to disable and capture. Their tracking systems are perfect. No one has ever escaped them. Tom smiled. Perfect systems, huh? Then they've never chased a human who doesn't play by the rules. He turned to his ship's eye. Lucy, Dump the power cells from Cargo Bay 3 through the rear thrusters. All of them. Captain, that would create an uncontrolled energy burst that cooled. Exactly. Tom's fingers flew across the controls and aimed them right at that spinning asteroid cluster. The Dominion commander's voice came through again, more threatening this time. Your primitive vessel cannot escape. Submit now, or we will use force. Instead of answering, Tom hit the release controls. The experimental power cells shot out through the rear thrusters, exploding in a massive burst of energy. The blast hit the asteroid cluster, shattering the massive rocks into thousands of pieces. The explosion created a chaotic field of debris that spread out in all directions. The Dominion ships, designed for precision and perfect calculations, suddenly found themselves in a completely unpredictable environment. Impossible, Lyra whispered as she watched Tom pilot through the chaos. How are you doing this? Tom's cargo ship danced through the asteroid field like a leaf in the wind, using moves that seemed to defy logic. Where the Dominion ships tried to calculate perfect paths, Tom relied on pure instinct and years of experience. Warning, Lucy announced. Dominion vessels are deploying capture beams. Perfect. Tom grinned, pulling his ship into a tight spiral around a tumbling asteroid. They're doing exactly what I hoped they would. The Dominion's capture beams, designed to lock onto and hold ships in place, instead grabbed the spinning asteroids. The sudden force sent the rocks spinning in new directions, creating even more chaos in the field. Their systems are too perfect, Tom explained as he wove through the destruction. They're trying to calculate every possibility, but sometimes you need to feel the flow of space. Lucy, kill the navigation computers. We're going pure manual. Captain, that action is extremely inadvisable. Sometimes you have to be crazy to be brilliant, Tom said, powering down the navigation systems. Now he was flying purely by sight and instinct, something the logical Dominion ships couldn't comprehend. Lyra watched in amazement as Tom threaded their ship through gaps that seemed impossibly small, using the asteroids themselves as shields against the Dominion's weapons. Behind us, she suddenly shouted, her powers letting her sense an approaching danger. Tom didn't question her warning. He immediately sent the ship into a dive, just as a massive asteroid tumbled through the space they had occupied moments before. The move sent them spinning toward what looked like a solid wall of rock. Trust me, Tom said, both to Lyra and to his protesting ship's eye. At the last second, he fired the side thrusters, slipping them through a crack in the asteroid that was barely wider than his ship. The pursuing Dominion vessel, trying to follow their exact path, couldn't adjust in time. Its perfect calculations didn't account for the unpredictability of tumbling space rocks. The sound of screeching metal echoed through space as the larger ship clipped the asteroid, sending it spinning out of control. 2 down, 1 to go, Tom said, checking his rear sensors. And I've got something special planned for the last one. As their ship rocketed through the asteroid field, with the last Dominion vessel still in pursuit, Lyra's strength began to fade again. The glow under her skin flickered like a dying light bulb, and she slumped in her seat. The energy transfer, she said weakly, it's not lasting. I need. Lucy, redirect power from the weapons systems to the medical bay, Tom ordered, splitting his attention between flying and watching Lyra's condition. Captain, that will leave us defenseless against. Just do it. Tom banked the ship hard to avoid another capture beam. Sometimes being defenseless is the best defense. As energy flowed into the medical systems, Lyra's glow strengthened slightly. Her eyes, still swirling with galaxy-like patterns, fixed on Tom with a mix of wonder and fear. You deserve to know the truth, she said, her musical voice stronger now. I'm not just a random fugitive. I'm the princess of the Crystal Realm. Tom almost missed his next turn. A princess. Running away from what exactly? An arranged marriage. Lyra's face showed disgust. The Dominion wants to unite our empires through my marriage to their High Commander. But it's not just about politics. She held up her hand, and Tom watched in amazement as patterns of energy danced between her fingers. Our people can sense and control energy fields, she explained. The Dominion wants this power. With it, they could control every ship, every station, every computer system in this sector of space. They would enslave billions. The ship shuddered as a glancing hit from the Dominion vessel caught their rear shields. Tom spun them through a series of evasive maneuvers while processing this new information. That's why I could hear your distress signal when Lucy couldn't, he realized. And why you knew that asteroid was going to hit us earlier. You're manipulating energy fields. Lyra nodded. But I've never seen anyone like you before. Humans, your minds are different. You can sense things without training, act without perfect calculations, succeed without following rigid patterns. Her voice filled with wonder. It's like you naturally understand chaos. Another blast rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across the control panel as their shields began to fail. Lucy, status report. Tom called out, yanking the ship into a desperate roll. Shield integrity at 15%. Hull breaches detected in cargo bays 2 and 4. Primary power systems failing. Lyra's eyes suddenly went wide. Tom, I feel something. The energy patterns around us are shifting. There's a solar storm coming. As if on cue, Lucy's sensors lit up with warnings. A massive wave of solar energy was approaching their position, powerful enough to fry every electronic system on the ship. We'll never survive that kind of radiation, Tom muttered, searching for options. I can protect us, Lyra said, standing up despite her weakness. My abilities, I can create an energy shield. But she swayed on her feet. I'm not strong enough alone. Tom looked at her, then at the approaching solar storm, then at the Dominion ship still pursuing them. A crazy idea began to form in his mind. Your powers respond to human consciousness differently, right? He asked. What if we worked together? Combined your abilities with human intuition. Lyra stared at him in shock. That's never been done before. The energy feedback could kill us both. Tom gave her his trademark grin. Sometimes the craziest ideas are the best ones. Besides, he gestured at the approaching storm. And the enemy ship, what have we got to lose? Lyra studied him for a moment, then nodded. She reached out her hand, and Tom took it without hesitation. The moment their fingers touched, Tom felt something incredible, like every nerve in his body had suddenly connected to the universe itself. The moment Tom's hand touched Lyra's, the world changed. It was like seeing the universe with entirely new senses. Energy flowed around them in beautiful patterns, waves of light and power that had always been there, but that normal human eyes couldn't see. This is how you see things, Tom whispered in awe. Focus, Lyra said, her voice strained. The storm is coming. Feel the energy patterns with me. The solar storm approached like a wall of fire, while behind them, the Dominion ship continued its pursuit. Tom could now see the energy weapons charging on the enemy vessel, glowing with deadly purpose. Captain, Lucy announced, solar radiation will reach lethal levels in 45 seconds. Tom closed his eyes, letting his mind merge with the strange new sensations flowing through him. It was like learning to swim in space itself. Lyra's consciousness guided him, showing him how to reach out and touch the energy fields around them. The storm's energy, Lyra explained quickly, we can redirect it. But we need perfect timing. She squeezed his hand tighter. Trust your instincts. That's what makes humans special. You can feel the right moment without calculating it. The Dominion ship fired again, their blast barely missing Tom's cargo vessel. Through his new senses, Tom could see the enemy ship's perfect energy patterns. Everything calculated to mathematical precision, but he could also see their weakness. They can't adapt, he realized. They can only follow their programming. Lyra nodded. Now you understand. Ready yourself. The storm is almost here. Tom felt the approaching wave of solar energy like a tsunami of light. It was more powerful than anything he'd ever imagined, carrying enough radiation to melt their ships into space dust. "Lucy, cut all power," Tom commanded. "Everything except life support. That action is highly inadvisable. Trust me, Lucy. Sometimes you have to power down to power up." As their ship went dark, Tom felt Lyra's energy combining with his consciousness. Together, they reached out into space, their minds touching the fabric of reality itself. The solar storm hit them like a physical wall. "Now," Lyra shouted. Tom didn't think. He acted on pure instinct. Together, they caught the storm's energy, bending it around their ship like a river flowing around a rock. But Tom didn't stop there. With Lyra's power and his human intuition working as one, he shaped the energy, creating a swirling vortex behind their ship. The Dominion vessel, committed to their pursuit, flew straight into the trap. Their perfect calculations hadn't accounted for the impossible. A human and a crystal realm princess working together to control a solar storm. "Their shields are failing," Lyra said, her voice filled with disbelief. "You did it. You actually control the energy flow." The Dominion ship's perfect energy patterns shattered as the solar storm overwhelmed their systems. Their engines died, leaving them drifting helplessly in space. But the effort had taken its toll. Tom felt like every cell in his body was on fire. Beside him, Lyra's glow had dimmed to almost nothing. They collapsed together, barely conscious but still holding hands. "Lucy," Tom managed to say, "get us out of here. Maximum speed." "With pleasure, Captain," the AI replied, sounding almost relieved. "Though I must note that your actions violated at least 15 safety protocols." Tom laughed weakly. "Add it to my record." Lyra stirred beside him, her galaxy eyes meeting his. "I've never seen anyone do what you just did. Your mind, the way you shaped the energy. It should have been impossible." "That's the thing about humans," Tom said with a tired smile. "We don't really believe in impossible." Then he remembered something. "Wait, if you're really a princess, what happens now?" Lyra's answering smile held both mystery and promise. "Now," she said, "I show you why the Dominion was really chasing me, and why finding humans like you changes everything." 3 days had passed since their escape from the Dominion ship. Tom's cargo vessel floated in a quiet sector of space, far from any marked shipping lanes. Inside the medical bay, Lyra stood before him, her skin once again glowing with its full, otherworldly light. "Your people have been searching the galaxy for centuries," she explained, her galaxy eyes shimmering with excitement. "Looking for species that could share our gift of energy manipulation." Tom sat on the medical bed, still feeling the lingering effects of their shared power. "But you found other advanced civilizations before, right? Like the Dominion." Lyra shook her head, sending waves of light cascading through her silver hair. "Advanced technology doesn't mean compatible consciousness. The Dominion, they wanted to steal our abilities through force, through machines. But that's not how it works." She held up her hand, and Tom watched in fascination as patterns of energy danced between her fingers. "Our gift can only be shared with those who can naturally sense the energy fields. Those who can feel the flow of the universe without technology. And humans can do this?" Tom asked, remembering how he'd heard her distress signal when even Lucy's advanced sensors couldn't detect it. "Not just that," Lyra smiled. "Humans have something we've never seen before. Your minds, their chaos and order combined. You can sense patterns without calculating them. Feel the right path without measuring it. Create solutions that shouldn't be possible." She stepped closer to Tom. "When you shaped that solar storm, you weren't just copying my abilities. You were doing things I've never seen before. Things that should have been impossible." Tom thought about this. "That's why the Dominion was so desperate to catch you. They knew you found compatible beings." "Yes." Lyra's face turned serious. "If they had captured me, they would have learned about humanity's potential. They would have come here in force, trying to harvest your natural abilities. But instead, You proved something my people have long suspected, that consciousness matters more than technology. That intuition can be more powerful than perfect calculation." Her eyes sparkled. "And now, I can give you your reward." Tom started to protest. "I didn't help you for a reward." "I know," Lyra interrupted. "That's exactly why you deserve this." She placed her hands on either side of Tom's face. The touch sent tingles of energy through his whole body. "My people can permanently awaken the ability to sense and shape energy in compatible species. Usually, it takes years of training, but you already understand it instinctively." Tom felt warmth spreading from her hands, like sunlight flowing through his veins. The world around him began to shift, colors and patterns emerging that he'd never seen before. But this time, the vision didn't fade. "I can see everything," he whispered in awe. "The energy in the ship's systems, the solar winds outside, the patterns between the stars." "You're the first," Lyra said proudly. "The first human to be officially gifted with our abilities. Though after what you showed me, I think we'll be learning as much from humans as we teach you." Lucy's voice interrupted the moment. "Captain, detecting multiple ships entering the sector. Energy signatures match Crystal Realm vessels." Lyra smiled. "My people, they'll want to meet you and learn about humanity." She took Tom's hand. "Ready to help change the universe." Tom looked at their joined hands, watching the energy pattern swirl between them, human and alien power combined into something entirely new. "You know," he said with a grin, "when I picked up your distress signal, I thought I was just making a simple rescue. Didn't expect to end up representing humanity to an advanced alien civilization." "The best adventures," Lyra replied, her galaxy eyes twinkling, "are the ones we don't see coming." As the Crystal Realm ships approached, Tom realized that his simple act of human kindness, choosing to help a stranger in need, hadn't just saved a princess. It had opened the door to humanity's next great adventure among the stars.